My name is Lily, and at 36 years old, I finally achieved something I'd been working toward for 5 relentless years, my master's degree. Those years were filled with night classes, a full-time job, and raising 2 kids. I imagined the moment I walked across that stage would feel like triumph. But all I could see were the 5 empty seats reserved for my family. Seats no one came to fill. I clutched my diploma, surrounded by cheering graduates and proud families, yet I stood completely alone. My achievement meant everything to me, apparently. It meant nothing to them. The real heartbreak came after the ceremony, when my phone buzzed with an urgent message from my husband. If you've ever felt let down by the people who should have been your biggest supporters, you'll understand this pain. Tell me where you're watching from, and hit like and subscribe to join a community that knows family disappointment cuts deeper than anything else. For the past 14 years, I'd been married to Nathan, a 38-year-old software developer with a steady job in Seattle. We had 2 children, Noah, our 14-year-old son, deep in the teenage stage where parents are the ultimate embarrassment, and Sophia, our bright 11-year-old daughter, already pulled into the orbit of her growing social life. We lived in a modest, 4-bedroom suburban home, nothing flashy, but cozy, with a small backyard where the kids played during the rare sunny days our city offered. I worked as a financial analyst at Franklin Financial Services, a mid-sized investment firm. For 8 years, I'd poured myself into my job 50-plus hours a week during peak seasons. Precision with numbers and patience with difficult clients. But year after year, I watched male colleagues with less experience climb past me. Need more credentials, my boss would say. A bachelor's degree in finance is fine, but everyone has one. If you want senior management, you'll need a master's. After being passed over for the 3rd time, I decided I would get that degree no matter what it took. The university across town offered evening classes for working professionals, 6 years part-time. It was a long road, but I believed the payoff would be worth it. What I didn't fully grasp was just how brutal the schedule would be. My day started at 5:40 a.m., making breakfast, packing lunches, then working a full shift before rushing to class 3 nights a week from 6:10 to 9:15 p.m. I'd come home drained, only to find dishes piled in the sink and kids' homework still waiting. Weekends weren't for rest. They were for locking myself in the home office to finish assignments, while Nathan took the kids to soccer games or birthday parties. One night, I overheard Noah mutter to his dad, "Mom's always studying. She never has time for us." Those words stung, but I kept telling myself it's temporary. Once I had the degree and promotion, we'd finally have the financial security for that long-promised Disney World trip, but family dynamics made it harder. My older brother, Derek, 4 years my senior, was the golden child. He ran a thriving real estate business, lived in a waterfront home, traveled whenever he pleased, and collected expensive wines. Our parents, living in California, had never hidden their preference for him. Growing up, they never missed his football games, but regularly skipped my academic competitions as adults. They would drop everything to help Derek renovate his kitchen, but they always had excuses when I needed someone to watch the kids during finals. Once, when I confronted my mom, she said, "Your brother's just more fun to be around. You're always so serious." The irony wasn't lost on me, that being responsible somehow counted against me. Even so, I pushed forward. I wrote papers after the kids went to bed, studied flashcards at lunch, and sacrificed vacations to get ahead in class. When friends invited us to parties or weekend getaways, I usually declined. Nathan was supportive at first, taking on more at home and encouraging me when I felt overwhelmed. But as the years dragged on, his patience thinned. "How much longer is this going to take?" he'd ask. "The kids barely see you anymore." I promised just 2 more years. Then One more, then just a few more months. By the time graduation finally came, our marriage was strained. We still cared for each other, but there was a distance neither of us could ignore. Nathan had his own routines, now taking the kids to events or to see his parents without me. I'd miss so many family dinners, school performances, and weekend outings that they had learned to function without me. That's why the graduation ceremony mattered so much. It wasn't just a piece of paper, it was proof of everything I had sacrificed. Every late night, every tear, every choice to keep going when it would have been easier to quit. It was my chance to show my family, especially my children, that all the sacrifices over the years had meant something. I wanted them to see me walk across that stage, to feel proud of their mother, and to know that women can pursue education at any stage of life. I wanted that moment of recognition, that shared celebration, to make the past 6 years of exhaustion worthwhile. About 6 months before the end of my program, I told Nathan, when I graduate, I want everyone near you, the kids, my parents, even my sister Melissa from Phoenix. This is going to be a big day for all of us. He squeezed my hand and said, "Of course, babe. We wouldn't miss it for the world." I didn't know then how hollow those words would sound later. As the months ticked down, I began planning every detail for what I believed would be one of the most important days of my life. The university emailed the graduation details, including the number of guest tickets allowed. I immediately claimed the maximum of 6-1 for Nathan, our children Noah and Sophia, my mom, my dad, and my sister Melissa. I called my parents in California to give them the date. They noted it on their calendar, though my mother's tone, "We'll try our best to make it." Sweetie hinted that she was already weighing other priorities. Still, I stayed optimistic. This was my graduation. Surely they would make it. Melissa's reaction was different. Living in Phoenix with her husband and 3 kids, she sounded genuinely excited. "I am so proud of you, sis," she said. "Working full-time, raising kids, and getting your master's. You're superwoman. I'll book my flight next week." With my family's attendance seemingly set, I planned the celebration. I found a top-rated Italian restaurant called Bissimo near campus that could seat 8. The reservation was nearly $300, but it felt worth it for such a once-in-a-lifetime moment. I paid the deposit without hesitation. I even booked my parents a hotel room downtown using points from work trips so they wouldn't have to worry about lodging. Everything seemed to be falling perfectly into place, and for once, I allowed myself to feel excitement instead of stress. 2 months before graduation, I splurged on a navy blue sheath dress with delicate lace details, elegant under the gown, but perfect for dinner afterward. I booked hair, makeup, and manicure appointments for the big day. I rarely spent money on myself, always putting the family first, but this time I wanted to feel my best. When I tried on the dress at home, Sophia's eyes lit up. "Mom, you look pretty like in your wedding pictures with Dad." Her words brought tears to my eyes. I couldn't remember the last time I dressed up for something just for me. Then, 3 weeks before graduation, the first crack appeared. My brother Derek called something he did only occasionally. After a few polite questions about school, he said, "By the way, I'm throwing a big barbecue on May 15th. Just finished my new outdoor kitchen. You guys should come, the kids will love the pool." My stomach sank. "Derek, that's my graduation day. I told everyone months ago." "Oh, right. I forgot," he said casually. "Can you move it to another weekend?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "Not really," he replied. "I've already invited 30 people, including clients." "But hey, what time does your ceremony end?" "Maybe you can stop by afterward." I clenched the phone. "The ceremony starts at 2 p.m., probably ends around 6, and then we have dinner reservations." "But that's not the point. My family is supposed to be at my graduation." Come on, Lily, he said, his voice dripping with that familiar childhood dismissiveness. It's just a graduation. You already had one for your bachelor's. This is just a piece of paper saying you took some extra classes. I was stunned. 5 years of sacrifice dismissed as some extra classes. Before I could even respond, he added, "Look, Mom and Dad are coming to my barbecue. They already confirmed. They're bringing Aunt Susan and Uncle Joe, who are visiting from Florida. You know how rarely we see them." At that moment, I was truly seeing red. You told Mom and Dad about your barbecue before checking with me? About the date knowing my graduation was coming up? I snapped. I didn't realize it was such a big deal. Derek replied defensively. You're 35, not 22. It's not like this is your first rodeo. We argued for another 10 minutes, Derek, refusing to budge, me growing more upset with every word. By the time I hung up, I was shaking with anger, fighting back tears. I called my mother right away, hoping she'd see reason and prioritize my graduation. Mom, Derek scheduled a barbecue on my graduation day. You can't go to that instead. Her response was infuriatingly diplomatic. Oh dear, what bad timing. Can't you both reschedule? No, Mom. The university doesn't change commencement dates for individuals. This has been set for a year. I told you about it 6 months ago. Well, it's just so difficult, she sighed. Your aunt and uncle will be here from Florida. And you know your father loves Derek's barbecues. Can't we go to both? The conversation went downhill from there. Mom suggested I was being selfish for not understanding the family's desire to attend both events, as if that were physically possible with the timing and distance. That evening, I told Nathan everything, tears spilling as I spoke. He listened quietly, rubbing my back. Your family has always been like this, he said softly. But hey, you'll still have us cheering you on. Me and the kids will be your fan club. That's what really matters, right? His words calmed me a little. He was right. If my husband and children were there, I could handle my parents' predictable preference for Derek. They'd seen my late nights, the stress, the headaches, the missed family events. They knew what this achievement meant. Promise. Me three will be there, I said, looking into his eyes. No matter what, I promise, Nathan said, kissing my forehead. Nothing could keep us away. I wanted so badly to believe him. The day before graduation arrived in a blur of last-minute details. I picked up my cap and gown from the university bookstore, hanging them carefully in our bedroom. I polished. My black pumps professional but comfortable enough for the stage, and charged my phone and camera so I could capture the memories. Still, my excitement was shadowed by anxiety. Despite Nathan's promise, I couldn't shake the feeling that something might go wrong. 2 days earlier, I received an email from my parents, polite but cold, saying they'd be at Derek's barbecue instead of my graduation. They promised to take me to dinner next time they were in town. I read it once, then deleted it without replying. Melissa had also canceled. Her youngest had come down with chicken pox. I understood, but it added to my growing sense of abandonment. At least I still have you three, I told Nathan as we made dinner that night. He nodded absently, eyes glued to his phone. He'd been texting a lot that day, but I didn't think much of it until my phone rang out. It was my mother. Lily, I just wanted to check if the kids are still coming to Derek's tomorrow. He's planning games for all the children, and Sophia and Noah are on his list. I nearly dropped the pot of pasta I was draining. What? No, Mom. The kids are coming to my graduation with Nathan. She sounded confused. Oh, Derek said Nathan mentioned bringing them to the barbecue. There will be other kids their age, a pool, even a lifeguard. They'd have more fun than sitting through a long ceremony. My hands shook as I set the pot down and stepped away from the stove. I looked at Nathan, suddenly very focused on chopping. Vegetables. Mom, I need to go, I said sharply, ending the call. The silence in the kitchen was heavy. Finally, I asked Nathan, why does my mother think you and the kids are going to Derek's barbecue tomorrow? He wouldn't meet my eyes. I might have mentioned to Derek that the kids were asking about the party. They heard about the pool and games from their cousins. And you told him you were bringing them without talking to me first? Nathan finally looked up, his expression caught between guilt and defiance. Lily, be reasonable. The ceremony is going to be 3 hours of sitting quietly while hundreds of names are called. The kids will be bored out of their minds. So instead of teaching them about supporting family and celebrating hard work, I replied, my voice rising despite my effort to stay calm, you're teaching them that fun always comes first. This graduation represents 6 years of sacrificing time with them so I could build a better future for us. Don't you think it's important? They see that hard work actually pays off. Nathan sighed heavily. Of course I do. But the kids really want to go to the barbecue. Noah's been talking nonstop about swimming with his cousins, and Sophia is excited because her friend Jasmine will be there. Derek invited the whole family. So, what are you saying? I asked, though I already knew the answer, that maybe I take the kids to the barbecue and we meet you at the restaurant afterward to celebrate. Or I could come to the ceremony alone, then pick you up after dropping the kids off. His tone was irritatingly reasonable, like we were haggling over a business deal. I stared at him. Do you hear yourself? This isn't a negotiation. This is one of the most important days of my life. You're being dramatic, Nathan. Muttered. It's just a graduation ceremony. Just a graduation ceremony? The exact words Derek had used, as if my accomplishment was nothing more than a small inconvenience in their social plans. 6 years, Nathan, I said, my voice trembling. 6 years of missing bedtimes, studying until 2 in the morning, using every vacation day for exams instead of trips. 6 years of you complaining about my absence, the kids feeling neglected, me carrying guilt on top of exhaustion. And now, when it's finally over, I want one day, just one day of recognition and support. And you're all too busy with a barbecue. The kids should decide for themselves, he argued. They're 14 and 11. Of course they'd pick a pool party over a ceremony. That's why parents make decisions based on values, not on what's more fun. The argument spiraled from there until Noah and Sophia came downstairs, drawn by our raised voices. When they learned what we were fighting about, they sided with Nathan. Noah scoffed that only nerds care about graduation ceremonies, while Sophia teared up, asking why I wanted to ruin their fun. That night, I went to bed without dinner, too upset to eat. Nathan slept on the couch, a rare occurrence. Lying there, I stared at the ceiling, wondering how my family had become so disconnected from my life, so dismissive of what mattered to me. The irony stung. I'd pursued this degree for them to provide more, to be a role model, and they couldn't give me a single afternoon in return. I cried silently into my pillow, mourning not just the disappointment I knew tomorrow would bring, but something deeper, a growing gap in how we valued each other's lives. Sleep didn't come until the early hours. My graduation outfit hung in the corner like a ghost, a reminder of what should have been a joyful day. When I woke after just a few hours of restless sleep, I briefly forgot the argument until reality returned. Nathan's side of the bed was cold. I found a note on the kitchen counter, took the kids to Derek's early to help set up. We'll try to make it back for your ceremony. Congratulations. Knife and not even a proper goodbye. Just an afterthought. Made coffee with trembling hands and followed my schedule. Hair at 10, makeup at 11, lineup at 1, ceremony at 2:10. The hairstylist noticed my subdued mood but didn't press. The makeup artist did her best to hide my swollen eyes and pale skin. crafting a polished look that clashed with the ache inside. Back home, I put on my new dress, adjusted my cap and gown, and forced a smile for a mirror selfie. I posted it with a caption about achieving goals, tagging my family, maybe out of habit, maybe out of spite. Congratulatory comments poured in from coworkers, relatives, and old friends. Everyone except the people I needed most thought before leaving. I texted Nathan, "I'm heading to the ceremony. Are you still coming?" 3 dots appeared, vanished, reappeared. Finally, Noah fell by the pool. Nothing serious, just tears. Might be late. Save us seats if you can. There were no seats to save. He knew that. It was just another excuse. The drive to campus was a blur. In the crowded garage, I found my way to the auditorium. Around me, classmates posed with their families, received flowers, hugged loved ones. I kept my head down and took my place in. The alphabetical lineup. My phone buzzed with kind words from my friend Linda and from Professor Jenkins, who'd written my recommendation for a job I'd applied for. Their messages only emphasized my family's silence. We processed into the main hall to the sound of pomp and circumstance. From the stage, I scanned the crowd, still hoping to see them slip in late. No luck. Speeches began the president, the dean, and alum who spoke about perseverance and work-life balance. Words that felt aimed straight at me. When my department was called, I rose with my row. Waiting for my name, I made a decision. I would own this moment. For me, not for anyone else. Lily Marie Williams, Master of Business Administration with honors. I walked across the stage with my head high, shook the dean's hand, accepted my diploma case, and moved the tassel from right to left, claiming what I had earned. There was polite applause, the same as for every other graduate. No cheers, no whistles, no one calling my name. Just the anonymous recognition of strangers watching another stranger's milestone. When I returned to my seat, a strange calm settled over me. The hurt was still there, but it had hardened into something else. Something that felt like resolve. I sat through the rest of the ceremony almost on autopilot, clapping for my fellow graduates while my thoughts drifted elsewhere, to the betrayal I just felt, to what this meant for my family, my marriage, my children, my own self-worth. When the ceremony ended, graduates spilled onto the lawn for the traditional cap toss and photos. Families hugged, flowers were exchanged, champagne bottles popped. I lingered at the edge, watching from a distance. I took a few photos with classmates I'd studied alongside, but I felt like an imposter in their joy. I kept checking my phone. Nothing from Nathan, nothing from the kids, nothing from my parents. Or Derek. Out of habit, I opened social media and froze. Derek had posted pictures from his barbecue, tagging my parents, Nathan, and the children. They were all smiling, roasting marshmallows around a fire pit. The post was timestamped 30 minutes ago, right in the middle of my graduation. Something inside me cracked wide open. I slipped behind the science building and broke down, ugly sobs tearing through me, smudging my carefully done makeup, leaving me gasping for air. When I finally pulled myself together, I decided there was no point keeping the dinner reservation. As I pulled up the restaurant's number, a text from Nathan appeared. "We need to talk." Urgently. Then I saw it. 45 missed calls from him, all within the last hour. My stomach dropped. That could only mean one thing, an emergency. Had something happened to the kids, my parents? I had silenced my phone during the ceremony as the university requested, and afterward I'd been too distracted to notice the calls. With shaking fingers, I called Nathan. He answered immediately. "Lily, thank God." His voice was sharp with panic. "I've been trying to reach you for over an hour. What happened?" I demanded, already walking toward the parking garage. "Is everyone okay?" "It's Noah," he blurted. He was climbing on that ridiculous new water slide Derek put in, showing off for his cousins, and he fell. We're at Memorial Hospital. The doctor thinks his arm's broken. I'm on my way, I said, breaking into a run despite my heels. Is he in a lot of pain? They gave him something, but he's shaken up. He keeps asking for you. That last part hit me hard. My maternal instinct roared to life, but underneath it, a bitter voice whispered, now my presence matters. I drove to the hospital, anxiety pounding in my chest. My graduation gown lay crumpled in the passenger seat, the cap tossed carelessly in the back. My diploma case sat unopened on the dashboard. Memorial Hospital was only 15 minutes from campus, but the drive felt endless. I parked in the emergency lot and rushed inside, still in my navy dress, my styled hair now loose and messy. The AO was buzzing with weekend cases. I gave Noah's name at the desk and was sent to Bay 7. Pulling back the curtain, I froze. Noah lay on the bed, his right arm in a temporary splint, tear-streaked but calm. Around him stood Nathan, Sophia, my parents, Derek, and a doctor reviewing x-rays. They all looked at me at once, expressions ranging from relief to guilt to something that felt uncomfortably like pity. Mom, Noah said, his voice small despite his teenage years. You came. I went straight to him. Of course I did, sweetheart. How are you feeling? What happened? Dr. Ramirez introduced himself. Your son has a simple fracture of the radius. Painful, but straightforward. With a cast, he'll be fine in about 6 weeks. Relief washed over me. It wasn't life-threatening. It wasn't permanent. He was very brave, my mother said, patting his leg. Barely cried at all. I gave her a tight smile. I couldn't bring myself to say more. They were all here now, surrounding my son, but couldn't be bothered to be there for my graduation. Derek stepped forward, looking sheepish. Thank God you got here, sis. The little man's been asking for you nonstop. Something in his casual tone, as if this were just a normal family gathering instead of the aftermath of their absence, broke what little composure I had left. Thank God I got here. I echoed, my voice low and sharp, as opposed to where I was before, graduating alone while my entire family enjoyed a barbecue. The room went silent. Nathan's eyes darted to mine. A warning look, silent, pleading, told me not to do this here. Not now, but 6 years of bottled up. Exhaustion, frustration, and hurt had finally boiled over. I had just spent the most important day of my professional life completely alone. My voice trembled, but I kept it steady. No husband. No children. No parents. Not even a single text message of congratulations, because a barbecue and a pool party mattered more than 5 years of sacrifice and hard work. Lily, my father, said, his tone placating, this is hardly the time or place. When would be a better time, Dad? I asked, my eyes stinging. When I'm back to being invisible? When I'm the responsible one who never gets acknowledged? When I'm putting everyone else first while none of you can spare a single afternoon for me? My mother looked genuinely puzzled. Honey, we didn't realize it meant this much to you. It's just a ceremony. Just a ceremony? I echoed hullily. Just like it's just a degree, just an accomplishment, just my life. Derek, clearly uncomfortable, tried to deflect. Look, what matters now is that Noah's is going to be okay. This was an emergency, and if there hadn't been an emergency, I challenged. Would any of you have regretted missing my graduation? Would you have even thought about me at all today? The silence was answer enough. Nathan stepped forward, placing a hand on my arm. Lily, you're upset, and you have every right to be, but Noah needs calm right now. We can talk later. I glanced at my son, his wide, anxious eyes following the adult drama. Sophia stood beside him, chewing her lip. They didn't deserve to be caught in this crossfire. You're right, I said, taking a deep breath. Noah needs us to focus on him. I turned my attention to him, asking about the doctor's exam and explaining what would happen next. With the casting process, I kept my tone steady, reassuring, locking my hurt away, the way I had so many times before. When the nurse came to take him for casting, I volunteered to go, grateful for an escape from everyone else. As we walked down the hallway, Noah leaning into me, he spoke softly. "I'm sorry I missed your graduation, Mom. I wanted to go, but Dad said it would be okay to go to the party instead." I swallowed hard. "It's not your fault, sweetheart. Adults made that choice, not you. But you're sad." "Yes," I admitted. "I'm sad, but I'm also proud of myself. And I hope one day you'll understand why today mattered." He nodded solemnly, suddenly looking older. "I'm proud of you too, Mom, even if I didn't see you get your diploma thing." His simple words were the first genuine recognition I'd had all day, and they meant more than anything anyone else could have said. After his arm was cast, we returned to find the Ebay empty except for Nathan. My parents and Derek went for coffee, he said. "Sophia's with them. The doctor says we can take Noah home." "I'll take him," I said. "You can pick up the prescription." "Lily," Nathan began gently, "about today." "Not now," I cut in. "Not in front of Noah." Just then my phone rang. Linda, my coworker, had promised to be at the ceremony. "Lily, where are you?" "I've been looking everywhere." I'd forgotten our plan completely. "Linda, I'm so sorry." "I'm at Memorial Hospital. Noah had an accident." "Oh my God, is he okay? A broken arm? We're about to head home. Do you need anything? Company? Food? Someone to grab prescriptions?" Her immediate, genuine concern brought a lump to my throat. "Actually, could you come over later? I could use a friend." "Of course, I'll bring dinner." When I hung up, I caught Nathan watching me. "Who was that?" "Linda from work. She came to my graduation since no one else did," I replied pointedly. "She's bringing dinner." Before he could respond, my parents, Derek and Sophia, returned with coffees and snacks. My mother fussed over Noah's blue cast. My father asked about follow-up appointments. Derek stayed unusually quiet. "We're taking Noah home now," I said firmly. "We'll come with you," my mother offered. "You'll need help." "No," I said, surprising even myself with the steel in my voice. "Thank you, but no." "Linda's bringing dinner. I can manage my own son." The stunned silence gave me a flicker of satisfaction. "But we came all this way," my father protested. "We were planning to stay until tomorrow." "You can go back to Derek's," I said coolly. "I'm sure the barbecue is still going." We parted awkwardly in the parking lot. Nathan drove, Noah dozing in the back, Sophia unusually quiet. I stared out the window, drained out at home. I got Noah settled with pillows, his favorite show, and a snack. Sophia went to her room, sensing the tension. Nathan hovered, bracing for the talk we both knew was coming. "I'm going to change," I said, gesturing to my still creased graduation dress. "Then we need to talk." Upstairs, I peeled off the navy fabric. It felt less like a symbol of triumph now, and more like a costume from a failed performance. I pulled on comfortable clothes, washed away my smeared makeup, and took several deep breaths before heading back down. Nathan was in the kitchen, unpacking the prescription bag. He looked up. "Lily, I know you're angry," he began. "Angry." Didn't even begin to cover it. "I feel betrayed, Nathan," I said quietly, making sure the kids couldn't hear. He looked down, shame flickering across his face. "I made a mistake. I thought the kids would enjoy the barbecue more, and I didn't realize how important the ceremony was to you." "Didn't realize?" I asked, my voice tightening. "I've been talking about it for months. I specifically asked you to promise you'd be there, all of you." "I know, and I'm sorry," he said. When Derek invited us, the kids got so excited. It seemed like a harmless compromise. A compromise, I replied bitterly, means both people agree. You made a unilateral choice to prioritize fun over supporting me. Nathan leaned against the counter, running a hand through his hair. You're right, I messed up. But does one mistake erase 14 years of marriage? 5 years of me supporting you through your degree. Supporting me? I echoed in disbelief. You complained constantly about my absence. You made me feel guilty for studying. You took the kids to events without even trying to include me. And then on the one day I needed you most, you chose my brother's party instead. That's not fair, he protested. I've been juggling work, childcare, and house maintenance while you were in class 3 nights a week. I've been supportive in ways you don't see. And I've been working full-time while studying nights and weekends for 6 years to build a better future for our family. I countered. We've both made sacrifices, Nathan. The difference is I would never have missed an important milestone in your life. The truth of that statement hung in the air. He knew I was right. For all his frustrations about my absence, I had always shown up for him, rearranging my schedule, skipping classes if needed. What do you want me to do? He asked finally. How do I fix this? I don't know if you can fix it immediately, I said. I need time to think about whether I can trust you to value me and my accomplishments. Are you saying you want a separation? His voice trembled. No, I clarified. I'm saying I need space to process this. I'm going to stay at the hotel I booked for my parents, just for a week. Will he be reasonable? Noah has a broken arm. He needs his mother. Noah has a father who seems perfectly capable of making decisions without me, I replied sharply. He'll be fine for a few days. I'll check in daily and come back if there are complications. Nathan looked like he wanted to argue, but stopped himself. When will you leave? After Linda brings dinner and I've explained things to the kids. I'll pack tonight and leave in the morning. Right on cue, the doorbell rang. Linda arrived with dinner and a graduation gift, a beautiful leather portfolio embossed with my initials, along with a card signed by several coworkers. We're so proud of you, she said, hugging me. You worked so hard for this. Her simple words brought fresh tears to my eyes. That acknowledgement was all I had wanted from my own family. After dinner, while Linda helped Nathan clear the table, I sat with the kids to explain my temporary absence. I reassured Noah I wasn't leaving because of his accident and that I'd check in daily. Sometimes adults need space, I told them, just like you do when you're overwhelmed. Sophia, more perceptive than I'd realized, asked, Is this because we missed your graduation? Partly, I admitted. I was very hurt, but this is also about figuring out what I want going forward. It's not a punishment, it's something I need. To my surprise, they accepted it without much protest. Maybe they sensed my pain, or maybe they were simply exhausted from the day. They hugged me goodnight with extra fierceness. The next morning, I packed a small suitcase and drove to the downtown hotel I'd originally booked for my parents. The irony wasn't lost on me. In the quiet of that room, I felt a mix of grief and liberation. For the first time in years, I had put my needs first, and instead of guilt, I felt a steady current of self-respect. Over the week, I received waves of apologies, tearful voicemails from my parents, an elaborate flower arrangement from Derek, and daily calls from Nathan that grew more desperate as he realized I was serious about this time apart. I spent those days reflecting on my relationships, my career, and the life I wanted next. I visited Noah daily with small gifts, helped him adapt to one-armed living, had lunch with Sophia at her school, and reassured her that families go through challenges and can recover. I met with my boss about the senior analyst role I'd been promised after completing my degree. By week's end, I had clarity. My family's actions had revealed how little they sometimes valued my contributions, but they had also reminded me of my own worth and the boundaries I needed to protect. 1 week after graduation, I drove home with a renewed sense of purpose. The time alone had been transformative, allowing me to process my hurt without pressure to forgive too soon. Nathan was waiting on the porch, a tentative smile on his face. He carried my suitcase inside to a surprisingly clean house. I later learned he'd hired a cleaning service, a quiet acknowledgement of the work I usually carried. "The kids are at school," he said. "I thought we should talk privately first." We sat at the kitchen table, the heart of our home, now feeling different. "I've been thinking a lot about us," Nathan began, "about how I've taken you for granted and failed to support you when it mattered most." "I've been thinking too," I replied. "Here's what I need from this marriage: respect for my accomplishments, a true partner who values my goals as much as his own, and an end to being the default parent and housekeeper." Nathan didn't get defensive. "You deserve all of that," he said quietly. "I see now how I've been putting you last, even while complaining about your absence. That was unfair and hypocritical." We talked for hours more honestly than we had in years. Nathan admitted his insecurities about my career growth, fearing I might outpace him. I shared the resentment I'd carried from managing the household. Alone while pursuing my degree, we began making plans dividing responsibilities more fairly, hiring occasional help, and committing to showing up for each other in ways that truly matter. When the kids came home from school, we gathered for a family meeting. Noah sat quietly, his cast now covered in colorful signatures from classmates. I told them we'd been facing some challenges, but that we were committed to becoming stronger together. "Does this mean you're staying, Mom?" Sophia asked softly. "Yes," I assured her. "But it also means some things will change. I'm starting a new position at work with more responsibility, and I'll need everyone to help more at home." To my surprise, both children agreed. Without hesitation, Noah offered to take over lawn mowing once his arm healed, and Sophia volunteered to handle the laundry sorting. They seemed relieved to have clear ways to contribute. Over the next few days, I had similar, honest conversations with my parents and with Derek. I invited them individually, so I wouldn't feel outnumbered. My parents came first, bringing gifts and apologies. My mother handed me a card with a substantial check, hoping to mend things with money. I gave it back gently but firmly. "This isn't about money," I said. "It's about a lifelong pattern Derek's events always come first. His achievements are celebrated while mine are overlooked." My father looked genuinely surprised. "We had no idea you felt this way, Lily." "That's the problem," I replied. "You never asked. You never noticed." The conversation was uncomfortable but necessary. I didn't demand grand promises or tearful apologies. I simply set clear boundaries, no more last-minute cancellations, no more accepting secondary status, and no more exhausting myself chasing approval freely given to my brother. Derek's visit was just as revealing. Without our parents or my children present, he had to face his role in the family dynamic. "I never meant to overshadow you," he said. "Intent doesn't erase impact," I told him. "Your barbecue could have been any weekend. You chose my graduation day and refused to change it." To his credit, Derek didn't make excuses. "You're right, I've been selfish. I think I've gotten used to being the center of attention." We reached an understanding, knowing it would take time to undo years of patterns. I no longer expected overnight change, but I was done accepting being an afterthought in my own family. The weeks that followed brought steady healing. Noah's arm mended, a reminder that resilience often follows pain. My promotion to senior analyst came through with a raise, a private office, and enough extra income to hire a weekly cleaning service, lightening my load at home. Nathan kept his word, taking on more parenting duties and celebrating my achievements openly. The kids, watching this shift, began showing more appreciation for my efforts at work and at home. A month after graduation, Derek surprised me with something I never expected: a small party just for my master's degree. He invited close friends and colleagues, ordered a cake in my university colors, and gave a heartfelt speech honoring my determination and intelligence. My parents brought a framed professional portrait of me in my cap and gown. It wasn't just a party, it was proof that my family now recognized my milestones as worthy of celebration. As I prepared to hang my diploma in my new office, I reflected on the unexpected journey that had unfolded since graduation. What should have been a simple celebration had instead sparked profound change in my most important relationships. I learned that education's greatest gift isn't always the degree, it's the self-knowledge that comes with it. I learned that standing up for myself didn't mean losing my family, but creating healthier, more respectful connections. That boundaries, though hard at first, lead to more genuine relationships. And most importantly, I learned my worth is not defined by others' recognition, but by my own sense of accomplishment and integrity. The empty seats at my graduation once felt like rejection. Now, I see them as the start of a deeper understanding of my value and the courage to insist others see it too. Sometimes the deepest wounds lead to the greatest growth. Have you ever had to stand up for yourself with family members who took you for granted? Share your story in the comments. And if this journey spoke to you, please like and subscribe for more real stories about navigating family dynamics and finding your voice. Remember, your achievements deserve celebration, even if you have to be your own biggest cheerleader.